January 13th, 2006. Acasuso, Buenos Aires. 300 police officers surround Banco Rio, snipers on the rooftops. Argentina's elite tactical unit, Grupo Halcón, ready to breach. Inside, 5 armed men and 23 hostages. The gang's leader sits in an office, eating pizza, negotiating over the radio with a calm that makes the police negotiator wonder if he's dealing with a madman or a genius. 7 hours later, the tactical team storms through the windows. Inside, they find all hostages unharmed, a pile of toy guns, and a handwritten note. Without weapons or grudges, it's only about money, not love. The robbers are gone. $19 million is gone. Every exit was watched. Every window was covered. 300 police stared at that building for 7 hours, and no one saw a thing. How do you vanish from a place surrounded by 300 police? How do you rob a bank while an entire nation watches live? And why does the perfect crime fall apart? Not because of police, not because of evidence, but because of one woman. This is El Robo del Siglo, the heist of the century. To understand how this robbery happened, you need to understand the man who dreamed it up. Fernando Araujo, 36 years old, a karate and Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor, a cannabis cultivator living in San Isidro, just blocks from the Banco Rio branch. In September of 2004, he's smoking marijuana, staring at the bank building, and something clicks. Not the front door, not the alarms, not the vault. He's looking at the street and thinking about what's underneath it. Running beneath Calle Peru is a public storm drain system, a network of concrete tunnels designed to carry rainwater. Araujo realizes that if someone could get into that drain, they could tunnel vertically upward, straight into the bank's basement, directly beneath the safe deposit box vault. But the bank has alarms connected directly to police. A nighttime break-in is impossible. So Araujo comes up with something far more audacious. Stage a fake hostage crisis on the ground floor during business hours. Use the chaos above as cover for the real operation below. He names the plan Project Donatello, not after the Renaissance sculptor, after the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Because the character is green like cannabis, practices martial arts, and moves through sewer tunnels. Araujo has the name tattooed on his forearm. His first recruit is his old high school classmate, Sebastián García Bolster. Bolster has no engineering degree, but he runs a jet ski workshop and has extraordinary mechanical talent. The two of them explore the entire storm drain network by jet ski, measuring distances between manhole covers, mapping the precise route from the drain to the bank. On November 18, 2004, they walk into the bank and start photographing the interior, and get caught by a security employee and kicked out. It's a near-fatal mistake. But somehow, incredibly, no formal investigation is ever opened. Over the following months, a criminal fixer known only as El Doc connects Araujo and Bolster to the underworld. El Doc recruits Rubén Alberto de la Torre, Beto, an experienced thief in his early 50s. And then comes the most important piece, Luis Mario Vitete Seyanes, a 51-year-old Uruguayan career criminal, known in Montevideo as El Hombre Araña, Spider-Man, for scaling buildings to burglarize upper-floor apartments. Vitete has done time at Punta Carretas prison. He brings financing, underworld contacts, and, crucially, he enrolls in acting classes. Because his job won't be to rob the bank. His job will be to keep 300 police officers talking for 7 hours. A Uruguayan known only as El Nene rounds out the crew inside the bank. The getaway driver will be Julián Zaloe Echeverría, El Paisa, a friend of De La Torre's who's recovering from a bullet wound and won't enter the building. 16 months of planning, roughly $100,000 in equipment, scuba gear, inflatable boats, outboard motors, toy weapons, disguises, and a modified Volkswagen Kombi van. Garcia Bolster designs a vertical shaft approximately 15 to 18 meters tall, ascending from the public storm drain directly into the bank's basement. He works in total darkness. Silent hydraulic tools pierce reinforced concrete over roughly 8 weeks of active construction in the final months before the heist. He installs a manual dam system within the storm drain to control water levels so the boats can navigate. He modifies 2 Zodiac-style inflatable boats with outboard motors engineered to run almost silently. And then there's his masterpiece. The crew calls it La Poderosa, the powerful one. It's a custom-built compressed air hydraulic device designed from scratch by a man with no formal engineering training. It can crack open a safe deposit box in 7 to 10 seconds. This single tool is what makes emptying nearly 150 boxes in under 2 hours physically possible. During construction, Bolster repeatedly triggers the bank's seismic sensors. Every time it happens, security dispatches someone to check. Every time, they find nothing. No broken doors, no forced entry. The bank attributes the alarms to vibrations from trucks on Avenida del Libertador. It's a stroke of luck the gang can never guarantee, and it happens over and over again. The escape vehicle is the Volkswagen Combi van with a hole cut through its floor. Salo Echeverria will park it directly over a specific manhole cover roughly 14 blocks from the bank along the storm drain route. And here's the critical detail that will confuse investigators for days. The exit point is inland, away from the Rio de la Plata. Everyone assumes the gang will flee toward the river. They go the opposite direction. Friday, January 13th, 2006, 12:20 p.m. El Doc and De La Torre enter the bank first. De La Torre is wearing a white lab coat, a stethoscope, and a wig. He's brandishing what appears to be a sawed-off shotgun. They order everyone to the floor. At the same time, Garcia Bolster is already positioned underground at the top of his tunnel, separated from the bank's basement by a thin, remaining wall of concrete. At 12:38, Vitet Seyanes and El Nene enter through the parking garage in a Ford Escort. Vitet is wearing a tailored gray suit, a fake mustache, a yarmulke, and glasses. This disguise will earn him the media nickname that sticks forever: El Hombre del Traje Gris, the man in the gray suit. Minutes later, Araujo enters last, wearing a baggy jacket and cap. By 12:50, the bank's security camera operator has alerted police. Within the hour, approximately 300 officers are on scene. Grupo Halcón snipers are on every rooftop. Every exit is covered. From the outside, this looks like a standard hostage crisis with a very bad ending about to happen. It's not. At around 2 p.m., the first hostage is released, Walter Serrano, the bank security guard. In a move that puzzles everyone, the robbers hand him back his own service revolver, unloaded. They keep his Nextel radio. That radio becomes the only line of communication between Vitet and the police negotiator, Miguel Angel Sileo, a major in the Buenos Aires Provincial Police. Vitet introduces himself as Walter. He sits at a first-floor window with his legs propped up on a desk, projecting absolute calm. His opening line to Sileo: "Get the snipers off the rooftops, or I'll start killing hostages." Sileo, a veteran of dozens of hostage situations, who will go on to rescue 168 people with 0 fatalities across his career, immediately senses something is off. This caller is too calm. Something doesn't add up. A second hostage, a nervous bank employee, is released around 3:20. Shortly after, a pregnant woman becomes the third. While Vitet performs above, the real operation is happening in the basement. Garcia Bolster breaches the final wall of concrete. One by one, safe deposit boxes are cracked open by La Poderosa. Cash, jewelry, bonds, documents. Everything goes into bags. At around 4:30, Vitet makes a request: 6 pizzas and bottles of soda. He tells Sileo the gang feels cornered and wants a last meal. The food arrives. The scene inside the bank becomes surreal. Hostages sit eating pizza alongside their captors. When the gang discovers that one of the hostages, a lawyer named Estela, has her birthday that day, they fashion a makeshift cake from an alfajor and sing happy birthday to her. And all the while, Araujo is sitting with a walkie-talkie, monitoring Grupo Halcon's own radio frequencies. He knows exactly where the snipers are. He knows exactly when they're going to breach. He has hostages calling their families throughout the afternoon. Knowing that relatives gathered outside will make police far more reluctant to storm the building. Sometime before 5 p.m., the escape begins. The gang descends through the tunnel into the storm drain. A second raft, towed behind, carries the mountain of bags, with Araujo standing on top. The outboard motor refuses to start. For several terrifying seconds, the entire plan hangs by a thread. Then it catches. They navigate 14 blocks inland through the storm drain, in darkness, to the predetermined manhole, where Zaloy Echeverria's combi is waiting directly above. Bags are passed up through the hole in the van's floor. Nobody needs to surface onto the street. Nobody sees a thing. Back at the bank, silence. At around 7 p.m., a hostage calls her sister, who's standing in the crowd outside, and says the robbers have gone quiet. Grupo Halcon makes the call. They breach through the windows. Tactical officers sweep every room, and they find 23 unharmed hostages, toy weapons scattered across the floor, and no robbers. The police initially suspect the gang mixed in with hostages and interrogate them roughly. One hostage later tells the press, "The robbers treated us better than the police." At around 8:30, behind a heavy cabinet in the basement, officers discover the tunnel entrance. A suspicious device blocks their path. At 10:30, the bomb squad confirms the device is fake. Another decoy. By then, the gang is miles away, dividing $19 million in front of a television, watching Grupo Halcon storm an empty bank on the evening news. In the vault, investigators find a handwritten note. It will become the most famous piece of criminal poetry in Argentine history. En barrio de ricachones, sin armas ni rencores, es solo plata y no amores. In a neighborhood of rich folk, without weapons or grudges, it's only money, not love. The gang left nothing else. Before escaping, they sprayed bleach throughout the vault to destroy DNA evidence. They scattered bags of barbershop hair clippings to contaminate forensic samples. They moved the heavy cabinet in front of the tunnel entrance and left the fake bomb as a final delay. It worked. Police recovered almost no usable physical evidence. No fingerprints, no DNA. The forensic countermeasures were devastatingly effective. The investigators had a crime scene, a tunnel, a poem, and nothing else. What brought the gang down wasn't science. It wasn't detective work. It was jealousy. About 1 month after the heist, Ruben de la Torre's partner, a woman named Alicia de Tulio, discovers that de la Torre is planning to abandon her. He's going to flee to Paraguay with a new lover and his share of the money. De Tulio has also taken roughly $100,000 from his stash, sparking a violent confrontation. Furious and betrayed, she walks into the Fiscalia, the prosecutor's office, and gives them everything. Names, addresses, details of every gang member she knows. On February 18th, 2006, just 36 days after the heist, de la Torre is arrested. $700,000 is recovered from his possession. Garcia Bolster is arrested weeks later in Villa Gazelle, on vacation with his family. He confesses immediately. Vitet is identified at Aeroparque Jorge Newbery Airport, traveling on false documents. And Araujo, the last to fall, is found in the mountains of San Juan province by the Gendarmeria Nacional. Inside his tent, officers find Luigi Bosco wine, Viagra, photocopies of the case file, and a notebook titled Coartadas, alibis. When they start searching, Araujo simply says, "Don't waste your time. I am Fernando Araujo." El Doc and El Nene are never identified, never caught. To this day, their real names remain unknown. El Doc fled abroad. El Nene reportedly bought 3 Ford Ranger trucks but couldn't drive, so he hired chauffeurs. The trial begins on February 15th, 2010, 4 years after the heist. 600 witnesses testify. The central legal battle: were the weapons real? Security guard Walter Serrano swears De La Torre carried a genuine Browning 2000 shotgun. The defense says every weapon recovered was a toy. All 4 defendants plead not guilty. Guilty verdicts come on May 5th, 2010. De La Torre receives 15 years. Araujo gets 14. Zello Echeverria gets 10. Garcia Bolster gets 9. Vitet, tried separately in a plea deal, receives 21 years and 6 months. His sentence combining the bank robbery with prior convictions. But here's where it gets interesting. In July 2012, the Casacion Court, the appellate court, rules that the prosecution cannot prove the weapons were real. They were seized over a month after the crime. The armed robbery aggravating factor is removed. Every sentence is slashed. No convicted member serves their full sentence. Garcia Bolster serves about 25 months in prison plus house arrest. Araujo does roughly a year and a half behind bars. De La Torre serves the longest, about 8 years. Zello Echeverria is free by 2012. Vitet invokes Argentina's migration law, allowing deportation after half the sentence, and is sent back to Uruguay on September 1st, 2013, banned from Argentina until 2034. Of the estimated $19 million stolen, only about $1.5 million is ever recovered. The bank's insurer pays roughly $14 million in restitution after lawsuits. "20 years later, the money is still gone. $17.5 million vanished into the sewers of Buenos Aires along with 5 men in rubber boats. Police never found it. Maybe it's buried somewhere. Maybe it was spent long ago. Maybe it's exactly where it always was, in the hands of people no one ever caught. El Doc and El Nene disappeared without a trace. No one knows their real names. No one knows where they are. The perfect crime, for them at least, stayed perfect. The others paid, but not much. Today, all of them are free. The mastermind works in the film industry. The tunnel engineer repairs boats. The man in the gray suit sells jewelry in Uruguay. $19 million stolen. Less than 10 years in prison combined for all of them. In 2020, the story became a film. Araujo wrote the screenplay. The movie sold 2 million tickets in Argentina alone. The man who planned the heist now makes money telling people how he did it. In 2022, Netflix released a documentary. The 4 convicted robbers didn't just give interviews. They reenacted their roles on camera. The world watched, and the world compared. The story reached the entire world, and the world noticed the resemblance to La Casa de Papel, the Spanish series that came out 11 years after the heist. A fake hostage crisis, escape through a tunnel, toy weapons, pizza during the siege. A mastermind behind it all. The show's creator has never confirmed any connection. Negotiator Miguel Ángel Sileo retired. In one interview, he said something that explains everything. One of the main things criminals have, and the reason they end up in prison, is ego. De La Torre's ego made him find a mistress. His ego made him plan an escape without the woman who knew everything. And the whole gang's ego made them believe the perfect crime would stay secret. But Araujo sees it differently. In the Netflix documentary, he says, I studied visual arts, martial arts, cannabis arts. I never imagined I would have such an important revelation. And I decided to rob a bank. I didn't know how, but I was sure of one thing. There had to be something artistic about it. Art or crime? Argentina still debates. The Banco Río branch in Acasuso no longer exists. But that note, handwritten, left in an empty vault, everyone remembers it. Without weapons or grudges, just money, not love. $17.5 million. No one knows where they are.